Hello and welcome back to the Bullet Bobby XXL build. We've finished the nose cone, got that out of the way. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to start following the instructions to do our motor mount assembly. And the first step will be to attach our 38mm motor retainer to our motor mount tube. So per the instructions, we want to start by first sanding all the, I call it getting all the shine off of the tube. And I'm using a 120 grit sandpaper. I want to get that nice and rough so our glue will adhere really well. So the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and wash out the retainer ring in some soap and water. That'll remove any of the chemicals they put on it in order for it to come out of the mold. Okay, I've washed the retainer ring out with some, I just used dish soap and warm water. And then now we're going to take our 120 grit sandpaper and we're going to sand the inside of our ring. Just a quick test fit. Alright, so I'm going to mix up some JB Weld for this, some 5-minute JB Weld, and then we'll glue it on there. Right, the JB Weld is mixed up, and so we're going to apply it to basically a 1/2 inch down the aft of the motor tube. And of course, we apply this to the tube, not to the ring, because we don't want any of this being pushed into the motor tube. Alright, that's done. So let's slide on the retainer ring. We're going to twist it while we slide it on so it spreads that glue really well. First checking inside the tube. No glue inside the tube. And to make sure nothing else the glue doesn't get in the way of the motor mount, we're going to go ahead and just take this paper towel and just wipe off any excess. So the retainer ring is almost cured. We're going to go ahead and add the centering ring. This centering ring will go flush with the retainer ring like this. So I've mixed up some 15-minute epoxy. I was torn between 15-minute or going with tight bind 3, but for this one, especially since it's going to butt up against that plastic, I'm going to do some epoxy. We don't need much. This is just to kind of tack it down because we're going to come back and we'll put fillets around it. So I'm putting it a little bit up from the retainer ring so when it pushes down on that glue, it doesn't push that glue over the threads. Should get a decent amount of squeeze out on top of that retainer ring, but not over onto the threads. Alright, that's done. So let's put on our ring here. And like before, I'm going to twist it as we get down here. There, that's sitting nice. So we have a little bit of squeeze out, which is fine. But you can see it's not going to interfere with our threads. But we are making a nice little fillet there. Alright, so we'll let that cure and move on to the next step.